Welcome back for Week 10 College Football Part 2. Then go back and watch Part 1 if you haven't. If you haven't, you're not supporting that. Go watch Part 1 of College Week 10 analysis. Now, I waited for the best games for Part 2, so don't go back and watch it. Go back and watch Part 1. But let's get into it, man. Georgia played Florida, and the way that Florida's defense held Georgia and Carson Beck was outrageous. I have never seen a number 2 team play so terrible in from 1 to the 3rd quarter. I have never seen a top team play so terrible. Whether it's Clemson, Florida, Alabama. I have never in my life seen such a team play so terrible. And at this point, I'm starting to dislike Georgia fans even more and more. I have never. They glaze everything about Georgia, and it's so annoying. They say, oh, we would have beat that team. Would you? Have you played them? Then you can't say nothing. Because the way that college football has went this year and last year, you can't really say that you'll beat anybody. Unless it's for sure. But Aiden Warner had to come in for DJ Lagway because he did get hurt. Warner went 7 for 22, 66 yards and an interception. Honestly, that guy doesn't need to see a football ever again because he cost Florida. Because they had so many chances. I've never seen so many 3-and-outs. It's outrageous. Jacoby Jackson went 12 for 74 with a touchdown. And then Jaden Bogg went 17 for 64. Their leading receiver, Aiden Mazzell, went 4 for 66 and a touchdown. Honestly, they could have beat you. The 14 difference is empty calorie. I swear. I was watching this game. Carson Beck went 25 for 40, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. If I'm not mistaken, in his last 3 games, he's thrown 9 interceptions. Trash. If he goes top 5 in the NFL next year, you're losing. You're losing. These people that are saying these Georgia quarterbacks, besides like Matthew Stafford and people of that nature, whether it's Jake Fromm, Stetson Bennett, Carson Beck, these Georgia quarterbacks, trash. Trash. And anybody that wants to possibly argue with me, come see me. Nate Frazier went 19 for 82 and a touchdown. Dylan Bell went 1 for 33, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I know this. That ETN, he was hurt within this game. So praise go up to him, man. Hopefully he gets back for the Georgia offense because he is a difference maker. Frazier he had a good game. I will say that. He had a great game, but I think ETN is a tad bit better. Just a tad bit better. And not to mention that he did come from Florida. Arion Smith went 2 for 59. Dominic Lovett went 7 for 52 and a touchdown. So, honestly, the only person that has actually had a good game that I actually like on this team is Dominic Lovett and ETN. And Dominic Lovett only had besides Cash Jones, he was the only other person that had a touchdown besides Dwight Phillips Jr., who also had a touchdown. And Nate Frazier. So 4 touchdowns. All in all, I wasn't really too fond of this Georgia win. They played terrible. I honestly don't see how they don't drop out of the top 4 playing these teams and losing like this. Because if you watch the games, they look terrible. Let's see their remaining games. They play Ole Miss, like I said. They play Tennessee. Hopefully both of those are losses. Then play UMass and Georgia Tech. Honestly, I would be praying on their downfall. Not players or coaches, just the team in general. Honestly. And I could thankfully say that. Indiana played, I'm guessing this is Michigan. Oh yeah, Michigan State. And Indiana is number 8 in the nation. And they are also undefeated as well. They beat Michigan State 47-10. Let's see. Indiana. Curtis Rorick went 19 for 29, 263 yards, and a 4-touchdown piece. 4 chicken McNugget. He put the beat on that defense. I will say that. And running backs really didn't have a good game. It seems that everybody got touches on the depth chart. Everybody got touches. Deshaun Williams went 6 for 86 as well. Elijah Sarrett had 2 touchdowns and he had 59 yards on 4 receptions. And then Miles Price went 3 for 42 and a touchdown. So, if I'm not mistaken, Indiana will go undefeated as well. Oh, no, never mind. They play Ohio State. They're not going undefeated. That'll be their one loss on the season. And really, they're not going to drop very far. They won't drop very far. Then they play Michigan and Purdue. These teams this year, man, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm going to skip that game. Okay, let's see. Tennessee beat Kentucky, as they should have, 28-18. So that's that. Let's see their numbers. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Brooke Vandergrift went 10 for 17, 123 yards, a touchdown and an interception for Kentucky. This is the same Kentucky that almost beat Georgia too. Jamarian Wilcox went 17 for 102 yards. So they ran down their throats. Ran. Like a snot rocket. They ran down their throats. Dane Key went 2 for 43. And obviously we don't expect Kentucky to be a high-passing offense. We've seen that throughout the entire year. So these numbers don't really surprise me. Moving on to the Tennessee Volunteer side. I like this guy's name. Nico Emilave went 28 for 38. 292 yards, a touchdown. He has a bright future ahead of him if he could just hit deep balls. Hit the deep balls, Nico. Dylan Sampson went 27 for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he did his thing. Peyton Lewis went 8 for 24 and a touchdown. So at least he got him a tud. And then Miles Kittlesman went 6 for 97 and a touchdown. Bree McCoy went 5 for 56 as well. So all in all, Tennessee played a pretty decent game. Obviously, the margin of victory should have been a little bit better than what it was. 10 points is ridiculous, especially for a high-passing offense like they have. But the win is the win, and they're ranked 7th. So at least they're in the playoffs. Pittsburgh played SMU, and I'm going to talk about this later. SMU needs to start losing. They have one loss, but I'm going to need them to lose it just a little bit more, in conference. Michigan played Pitt, and they handed Pitt their first loss of the season. Pitt is now 23, and SMU is now 13. I need Pitt to stay ranked. Who do they play next? Who's Pitt play? Pitt plays Virginia, so hopefully they win. We need them to lose. No, we need them to win. We need Pitt to win because they had their first. Honestly, they can lose. I hope they lose. I don't see it, but Tony Elliott is an offensive mastermind. I hope they lose. Oh, but I did not say this. SMU did beat them 48-25. And SMU has been one of those other teams that have been up and coming. They have emerged out of the ashes like a phoenix. Them young Bulls were playing. They are currently 8-1, sitting at spot 13. Let's see some stats. Eli Holston went 29 for 47, 248 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty good for a quarterback. Besides the 0 touchdowns and no interceptions. I lied. Never mind. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Desmond Reed went 13 for 49, and that's the best running back they had within this game. So Pittsburgh is going to have to pick it up on the rushing game. Kenny Johnson went 8 for 81 and a touchdown. And then that's the best receiver that they got. Moving on to SMU, and I need them to lose. Kevin Jennings went 17 for 25, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns. Perfection, as they say, remember the Titans. Brashard Smith went 23 for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. Perfection. That's what we'd like to see. And to cap it off, Matthew Hildner went 3 for 108 and a touchdown. Keyshawn Smith went 3 for 89. Perfection. They beat the belt to butt. Belt to butt. They beat the snot out of them. Man. It's crazy. I need SMU to lose that. And I'll talk about that later. That'll be the last game that I'll talk about. Texas A&M and South Carolina played, and boy, man, are the Aggies mad. They were 10. Now they're 15. They've been kicked from the playoffs. Let's see who they play within the last couple of games. They play New Mexico State. They play Auburn, which ain't really gonna help them, and they play Texas. If they pull off an upset with Texas, they might. They just might. Actually, they probably will. They'll get into the playoffs if they beat Texas. 100%. 100%. But South Carolina beat them out of their minds. They beat the fur off of them. Aggie is a dog, right? They beat the fur out of them. They were yelping and crying for help because South Carolina put 44 on their head tops. 44. It's crazy. That's crazy work. I have never heard so many. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. Lenora Sellers, that dude has a future. And I've been saying it all year. Marcel Reed for Texas A&M went 18 for 28, 206 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Amari Daniels went 13 for 83 and a touchdown. Marcel Reed went 16 for 46. Then Jabrier Barber went 7 for 80 and a touchdown, and he was their best receiver within this game. Texas A&M know they could have played a lot better within this game. They know it. Lenora Sellers went 13 for 27, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, we like that from our quarterback. That's very classy, very demure. But, man, Raheem Sanders went 20 for 144 yards, 2 touchdowns. This dude can run. And then Lenora Sellers, his ankle ain't hurting him no more. 15 for 106, a $106, and a touchdown. Both of these guys were getting about 7 yards per carry. So you do the math. Every time they run the ball, 7 yards. 7 yards. They're hitting a first down in two to three plays. What are you supposed to do? They're at least hitting it at 2. It's just crazy. Josh Simon went four receptions for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. Raheem Sanders also had a great game through the air with 5 receptions for 92 yards as well. So, I'm surprised South Carolina ain't ranked. Because they've been, let's see. They played Vanderbilt, which is ranked. They played Missouri. They played Wofford, and then they played Clemson. If they could beat Vanderbilt, they just might. They might be in contention. Not contention for the playoffs, but contention for top 25. Top 25. But the last game that I'm going to talk about within this segment is Louisville versus Clemson. And obviously everybody knows that I'm a Clemson Tiger fan at heart. Clemson did not look like themselves. But you might be asking, who are they? Who is the Clemson Tigers? They're not 2016. They're not 2018. They don't have Trevor Lawrence. They don't have Deshaun Watson. They don't have running backs like Travis Etienne or Wayne Gallman. They don't. They don't have wide receivers like T. Higgins or Mike Williams or Hunter Renfrow. They don't. But man, I feel like the culture within Clemson has changed because I feel like we played for each other when we were winning these games. People would say, you'll have a cupcake season. Cupcake who? Because we beat the snot out of Alabama, came back on them, and they beat the snot out of them again. Cupcake who? I mean, we had to go through Ohio State and Notre Dame. Cupcake who? If we were built to play these teams, then that means we were good enough. But man, Louisville put the beating on us. And I haven't taken this type of butt whipping in a long time. 33-21. Clemson is currently sitting at 19. We had made it from losing to Georgia to making it all the way down to 9. And then shooting ourselves in the foot again. If you did not watch this game as a Clemson Tigers fan, it's probably best that you didn't. If you was at the game, I'm sorry. I have never seen Clemson's defense pushed around so much in my life. Defensive line was getting obliterated. They were getting pancaked. They were getting moved like dumpsters. They were getting taken out to the trash. And when the defensive line can't create pressure, Linebackers can't even find their gaps. Linebackers were everywhere. You know how they say fish in the sea? The fish was at the bottom of the sea. Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. It was disgusting. And once the defensive linemen and the linebackers are out of position, that means quarterbacks have to fight for a little bit longer. And what does that do? It gets you burnt. And that's what happened. We got burnt on defense. I have never seen somebody rush so heavy on Clemson's defense and beat us that bad. The blood was pouring, and it would not stop. No stitches, no staples, nothing. Nothing was going to stop that bleeding. Tyler Show went 17 for 32, 156 yards. You'd be like, okay, that's not bad. That didn't really hurt you. Yeah, but this did. Isaac Brown had 20 carries for 151 yards and a touchdown. It felt like he ran for 300. It felt like he ran for 300 yards. Chris Bell went 1 for 47. I'm pretty sure that was one of the last plays of the game. Isaac Brown is a freshman. It felt like he put 300 rushing yards on us. That's how much he was running. And then if you really look at the other statistics within the wide receivers, they didn't help. The only thing that they could possibly do is get first downs. They can get yardage because not one of them got a touchdown. Not one of them. Not one of them. I've never. And then moving on to the Clemson side of the ball, man. K-Stang went 33 for 56. Tell me when we start letting QBs throw for 56 passes in college. When do we start doing that? He only had 220 yards. 56 passes. And only getting 238 yards is crazy. With these numbers, he should have had 500. And he had one touchdown. This is how much Phil Maffa ran this game. Phil Maffa ran 30 times for 171 yards. Obviously, he was the bell cow. But when your offensive game plan doesn't work, why are we still doing the same thing within the second and third quarter? When are we trying to win the ball game? It was nasty. And if you didn't see the fourth quarter, that drive that K-Stang put that got us a touchdown, that took about 6 to 7 minutes off the clock, you should be ashamed. Honestly. I hope the coaches are running y'all to death. Not to death, but I hope they're running y'all. I hope you are puking your brains out right now. I mean that in the most respectful way. Because the culture has to change. It has to. Ain't nobody better than nobody. And we play for each other. But man, as a Clemson fan, this was embarrassing. Embarrassing. There's no way Phil Maffa should be getting 30 carries a game. 20 at least. 20, 22 at most. But 30 times? God, dog, man. And I thought we were actually getting somewhere. But I've been telling people this. When K-Stang is under pressure, he doesn't look too hot. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. But when he throws some deep balls and he's not pressured, he looks amazing. But, okay, man, we got to get some short, intermediate throws. You gotta break down the defense. Because they either know you can run the ball or throw the ball deep. So they play cover 2, or they can fill the box. Ben's offensive game plan is pretty much easy to decipher. I mean, if you watch the film, Clemson is sitting at 6-2 now. I don't even know I'm a Clemson fan anymore, man. It's just disappointing. Disappointing. I'll forever be a Clemson fan, but it's just disappointing, man. We have 4 other games to play within the season. Play Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, Citadel, South Carolina. We're going to need people to lose. Because right now it's not looking too hot. Based off the schedule alone, if we win out, we're not getting off just solely by winning all these games. And that's not even to say that we'll win all these games. Like, we play Pittsburgh. We lose to Pittsburgh, we're done. We lose to Pittsburgh, we're done. Cooked. And South Carolina's a good team, too. We have 2 strong opponents within our last 4 weeks. It's time to hunker down. I think y'all can do it. Hopefully y'all can. Hopefully some teams lose, man. But the last thing that we'll talk about within this video is CFP playoff bracket. The CFP playoff bracket, and it is currently 12 teams within. So the teams that are slated right now to have the bye weeks are Oregon, BYU, Georgia, and the University of Miami. So they would have bye weeks at this point in time. Tennessee would play Indiana, which I think Tennessee would win. Now, like I said, there's a lot of ball left. There's a lot of ball, but this is just projected. This is what's slated if the playoffs were to happen tomorrow. Ohio State plays Boise State. I think Ohio State would win that. Penn State would play Notre Dame. That'd be a good game to watch. And Texas would play Alabama. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. Yep. So there you have it, folks. Football Week 10, Part 2. That's going to wrap it up. So I will see y'all in the next video.